And then with the Einstellen, that I became very enthusiastic about this, and as a doctor I felt it was very important to get the word out to everyone.
These are very, very powerful concepts, and it's important to appreciate them.
Die Nichte eines Helfers, der dort also auch mithilft in Amerika. Diese Nichte litt also an einer Amöbenruhr, die sie im Krieg 1990 aufgefischt hatte. Und das führte so weit, dass ihr der gesamte Dickdarm entfernt werden musste. Es war schwer entzündlich verändert. Es gibt keine wirkliche Hilfe gegen dieses Problem. Es war medikamentös nicht zu beherrschen, auch operativ letztendlich nicht zu beherrschen. Sie hatte ständig Schmerzen, 20 Stühle am Tag mit Blutschleim und so weiter, massive Krämpfe im Unterbauchbereich. Das war ihr Lebensweg, sage ich, von 1990 bis 2004. Und sie war in diesem Vortrag, hatte ein wunderbares Erlebnis während des Vortrags, hat sie aber nicht erzählt, auch nicht erwähnt nachher. Und 2 Wochen nach diesem Vortrag waren alle Beschwerden verschwunden. Sie hatte keinen Durchfall mehr, keine Schmerzen mehr. Sie war regelmäßig in Kontrolle bei ihrem Internisten, der war ganz entsetzt, warum denn plötzlich alles gut wäre jetzt nach 15 Jahren. Es war ihm unerklärlich, hat eine Biopsie, noch einmal eine Biopsie gemacht, um das noch einmal zu kontrollieren. Es waren keine Veränderungen mehr im Gewebe da, keine Veränderungen in der Darmschleimhaut mehr sichtbar. Es war alles weg. Also sie fühlte sich wohl, hat wieder voll viel Kraft, Energie, das hat ihr zuvor gefehlt. Sie hat gesagt, sie fühlt sich wie neugeboren. Das war für sie auch so ein wunderschönes Erlebnis. Und das habe ich erst erfahren, ein halbes Jahr später, dann eben in New York, als wir einen Arbeitskreis auch machten dort, und da habe ich dann diese Heilung erfahren.
Auch der Landesleiter der USA, Richard Liu, erfährt durch einen Ärzteinformationsvortrag von Bruno Gröning. Darauf aufmerksam wird er durch eine Radiosendung.
And I remember when I was in my home in Niagara Falls, New York, I was listening to a radio station early in the morning. There was a doctor in Germany speaking to an announcer on a radio station about the teachings of a man I never heard of before, who spoke about how our thoughts affect our health, how the thoughts of others can affect our health. And so I went to the medical lecture a week later at the University of Buffalo. And when I was in the lecture room, as soon as the music began, I felt something in my body. And it was like tingling all over. And I still remember, it was a very emotional feeling. I was very touched by it. I've never forgotten that first time. And I was so moved. And then I listened to the lecture, and again, it sounded familiar. I never heard of Bruno Gröning before, but what I heard was very familiar to me. And I said, this is my belief. I believe all of this. And so I told the doctor, it was Dr. Kamp, I told him at the end of the lecture afterwards, I said, I think we'd like to begin one of these in Buffalo, New York. I think I could do this. And so that was the beginning of my involvement with the Circle of Friends.
In der Folgezeit erlebt Richard Liu auch selber Heilung. Er wird frei von rheumatoider Arthritis, einem HWS-Syndrom, einer Katzenallergie und von Depressionen. Mit den Jahren sind in Nordamerika immer mehr Menschen auf den Freundeskreis aufmerksam geworden und zahlreiche Gemeinschaften sind entstanden.
Ja, heute sind Gemeinschaften überall anzutreffen, also über das ganze Land verstreut. Also im Norden angefangen von Alaska runter bis an die, wenn man die Westküste runtergeht, bis an die Grenze von Mexiko und dann über das ganze Land verstreut bis an die Ostküste, wo ich eben sehr viel involviert war, eben runter bis Florida. Da bin ich auch mal hingeflogen, hin und wieder von Atlanta aus. Und bis eben rauf, bis Vermont, wo es schon an die kanadische Grenze geht. Es geht darüber hinaus, in Kanada sind heute auch schon viele Gemeinschaften. Also direkt über die Grenze rüber ist ja schon Montreal, da sind auch einige Gemeinschaften in der Stadt. Es hat sich rasant entwickelt.
Da sind viele, viele Gemeinschaften jetzt. Das ist stark geworden. dieses Land und kommen auch immer mehr Medical Doctors, das heißt amerikanische Ärzte dazu.
I had gone to an introduction and I was there with my wife and one of my patients. And I left there thinking, this really is something. I say it to myself. You know, I've been to a lot of spiritual type things in my life and I could feel it. I could really feel it in my forehead. And I walked out and I could move my shoulder 360 degrees again, whereas before it was like I could only raise it shoulder height, you know, my right arm. And I said to my wife, she said, I feel it too, I feel good too. So it turned out the doctor missed his plane and we went the second introduction the next week. Again, we felt it. So we were invited and then we were invited to this conference. And in the conference, I felt a tremendous amount of energy. So much so that I felt like I was a beam of light from within me, you know, especially in my chest.
I first found out about the Circle of Friends and Bruno Gröning through a fax that came to my medical office from Dr. Blattner in Germany. And the flyer said that some German doctors would be coming to Freeport, Maine to present the work of Bruno Gröning. So I went to the website and was completely intrigued by the medically verified healings. And as it turned out, I was home at the time that everyone was coming, and it turned out only 5 miles from my home. This almost never happens. I'm traveling so much. So I went with my sister, and I met a German doctor, and then with the Einstellen, that I became very enthusiastic about this, and as a doctor, I felt it was very important to get the word out to everyone.
I don't know of any other medical organization with physicians and other health professionals, especially with the physicians who are interested in spiritual healing and who bring our medical expertise together to verify the healings so that the public can know that healings really do exist.
I have studied the role of the mind in healing for more than 36 years now. And the Buddhists have studied the mind in healing as well as other things for 2,600 years. And the thing that's clear is that the mind is one of the most, or the most important factor in healing. And the more we can move our mind in a healthy direction, and then this impacts healing, it impacts peace of mind, it impacts the quality of all of our lives. And to me, Bruno Gröning was teaching very healthy things. We saw that because people sitting listening to his lecture would experience healing just by the experience of hearing what he said and the impact that would have on their own beliefs. And these are very, very powerful concepts. And it's important to appreciate them.
The Heilstrom energy is something I have felt from the very first time, although over the months and years it has grown. I always feel it as, at the very least, as a tingling in my hands and often in my feet and sometimes in my face. And also there's an extreme sense of peace, so that sometimes I don't want to stop. I will do it sometimes for 20, 30 minutes at a time. And I've also noticed that the current of Heilstrom is much stronger in a group.